Welcome back. It is now time for Inside the 10 as I welcome Michael Shamus, Gus Wallen, Andrew Webster. Great to have you all. All right, well, let's get started. I'm going to just quickly do some breaking news first. The Match Review Committee has just released the findings. Jack de Belin is facing a 3-week suspension for that hip drop tackle, and Tyrone Peachey is facing a 2-match suspension. So that's both if they take the early guilty plea. All right, well, let's...
Can we not talk about that? Are they kidding? That is ridiculous for de Belin. That was just a tackle. That wasn't a hip drop.
He fell on his legs.
Come on,
the bloke's out for longer than
mate. I can't even believe it was 10 in the bin. Anyway,
let's move on. All right. Have the Melbourne Storm disrespected Manly and Parramatta by celebrating the 07 and 09 premierships like they did on Friday night at Marvel Stadium?
No, not at all. I think in a season where there's been so many non-stories, this is the biggest non-story. Look, if the Melbourne Storm want to celebrate and believe that their players won the 07 and 09 premiership, that's fine. It's at their home ground. If they want to pay for the trophies, that's fine. History will record it differently, but if to those players and those that weren't implicated in that scandal in particular, you know, that hard work doesn't go away. So I can't believe how bent out of shape some people are getting over this.
They won the grand final for those players, and it's an internal celebration. It's not like we're, you know, as a whole game, the NRL is celebrating it. I agree with you, Webby.
Well, I think if you go out and ask the fans and so forth, the Storm fans, you beautiful. That's awesome. I love that. But I think it's disrespectful. The simple fact is that they cheated, and they won because they cheated, and they've had it stripped off them, so they shouldn't be able to just waltz around in front of anyone and saying that they can have the trophy. It's just not right. And in doing it on a night in front of one of the teams that they beat in those grand finals, Parramatta, is just another absolute uppercut. So, yeah, I reckon the NRL should fine them.
Oh, wow.
I really do. I mean, you're just not allowed to do it.
For what? For bringing the...
Well, those
being disrespectful.
Celebrating.
You stop celebrating. Well, there's no celebrating allowed.
They celebrated and they had the moment, didn't they? They had their moment. Parramatta didn't get their moment. Nathan Hindmarsh didn't get his moment.
Of course.
But they had their moment, and then it was seen to be that they cheated. So they should have that revoked, which they did, and they shouldn't now be able to just run around and just go, well, here's another trophy you won, because they didn't.
They did pay for it, and it was an internal celebration. It wasn't on the middle of the field.
It was on TV.
I mean, that didn't look
on TV. It was in the middle of the field.
Too internal.
It was off to the side of the field. It wasn't near where Parramatta ran out.
I've got no issue with them internally celebrating that. The fact that it was in the middle of the field, it was on TV. If I was a player in one of those Melbourne Storm teams, I would count that as a premiership as well. No one's taking that off me. You worked hard all year, and as you said, a lot of those players have been implicated in something they had nothing to do with. So I would count that as a premiership too. But as Gus said, there's probably a time and a place, and to parade them in the middle of that field with everyone else watching, yeah, I think...
It's not a good look.
And the fact that it was Parramatta... I'm not saying go and find them, but I can understand why people are looking at it thinking, what are you doing bringing out those premierships? Okay. But if I was a player, I'd count it too. There's nothing taken away.
All right, let's move on. The NRL is now threatening to pull funding from the RLPA. When will this CBA madness end?
Could we just get everyone in a room and to talk and just communicate? And if someone wants to have to be in the middle because the egos won't allow them to discuss things properly, can we please have that person in the room that can mediate it?
That's what the RLPA want.
The NRL should stand up and do that.
Well, they're not. But that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though. Like, I think the NRL lost a lot of ground in this ridiculous PR war that they seem to be having, the two parties. I think Billy Slater said it best when he said they've got to grow up and sort it. But I thought it was really dirty pool when the NRL came out last week and said that it was racist, that they were saying the RLPA didn't want any funding to Pacific nations. That's not... To use the racism card there just shows you they don't want to get a deal done. They just want to fight each other. So hurry up and get a deal done and put us all out of our misery.
People fighting each other, as rugby league reporters, people fighting each other is great for us. But in this situation, you take your hat off and just be a rugby league lover for 1 second. This is doing nothing for the game. It's taken the game backwards. It's taken the NRL away from actually doing things that the game needs. All the talk around international football. Do you know what? Nothing irks me more than watching rugby union get celebrated on a global stage and it's an inferior product. Like, we have the better product, and rugby union's on this global stage. They have a World Cup that gets, you know, attention all around the world, not just in 2 or 3 countries. And we're sitting here fighting amongst each other. That's what rugby league does. We just fight and we just don't grow as a game.
That's the game, brother.
And for us as reporters, that's great. It gives us plenty to talk about. But as a lover of rugby league, there are so many things that this game needs to focus on to continue to improve the product. The junior participation, arguments around what's, you know, the numbers, and whether or not we should be, you know, kids should be tackling, OzTag, whether or not they should be competing. The game has moved away from focusing on what's important and in a squabble with the RLPA over something that actually doesn't impact the final product.
And I think it is getting to the point where it's actually impacting the fans. I know a number of fans were actually disappointed that they couldn't hear from Pat Carrigan after he scored, his first NRL try. This is the stuff that adds to, it's the personalities, the characters.
Yeah, DCE, you want to hear from him on his 300th and everything that goes with it. So
Cameron McInnes yesterday,
can we please just get the egos out? Because that's what it is. It's men with egos, not willing to give each other a little bit of time, not being able to consider perhaps what the other side are thinking. Get it done, because it's more important than those guys at the moment. It's really impacting the game in a negative way.
Yeah, well said. Get it done.
Yeah.
All right, well, plenty more coming your way on the Sunday Footy Show. Up next, we are going to be crossing to Belmore ahead of the NRL doubleheader. Don't go anywhere.